Well, hello, welcome back to my channel. This is my second attempt to do this. Um, First, I'm gonna say I am in no kind of way a camera junkie. I am in no kind of way a socialite of being on the internet. Facebook and everything like that. I have a Facebook, but I don't really use it. I'm kind of a quiet, kind of to myself person. So, as many videos as I'm popping out, it's like, oh, this girl loves to be on camera. Nope, I don't like being on camera. I feel like I have something to do. I feel like I need to do this. Not only the promise that I make to my mom to tell her story, I feel like I need to tell my story as well. The thing is, my story is so embedded in me because I was the victim in it and not a bystander. I feel like I can't really get to my mother's story in detail until I get mine out of the way, because sharing my story is healing me tremendously. When I start a video, it's kind of a heaviness to relive the things that I went through, because I remember it, just like it was yesterday. But when I'm done, it feels like a burden has been lifted from me. I felt a burden removed from me. It felt like it twice in my life. Once was when I left my husband. And the second time was right after my father died. But I notice with this, with what I'm doing now, I notice every time I do a video, it seems like I can breathe a little easier, I know this is therapy for me, because 34 years into, and I have to say, a bad marriage, and 10 years after that, that's 44 years of my life. I'm 60 because I got married at 17. It's time. It's time to tell. It's time to talk. It's time to help anybody that may be going through something. It's time to make people aware that narcissism is a real thing. It's a very prominent thing. I'm almost positive, after I've talked to a few of my friends in Africa, that it's alive and well in Africa as well. Kind of look at the leadership and kind of see that. But it's time. When you don't speak up against someone that has committed a crime against you, you're protecting that person, even if you don't realize that's what you're doing. Because the longer you hold on to what they've done, no one knows about it. They keep doing it. They keep assaulting people. They keep murdering people. They keep killing people, raping people. They keep doing all these things because you didn't say anything. And I understand. 10 years after the divorce, here I am today. So I understand. But my plea to you is, don't let your oppressor get away. Don't let the person that victimized you, belittled you, demeaned you, disrespected, disregarded, don't let them get away with it. Because the only way you're going to help that next person is to stand up. That's it. You got to stand up. And it's hard. You're going to get backlash. I'm expecting backlash. I don't care. I've always been the type kind of that stood on my own. I'm still standing. I have the Most High. I have my family. But I'm still standing. You can too. So, last time I said I would explain the title of my video, not the video, my page, exposing the narcissist, the slippery slope. That title came because I gave my narcissist a heads up. And what's funny is I've been married twice, and it's to the point now I don't have a tolerance for games. I don't have a tolerance for lies and that kind of thing. So what was funny is my second ex-husband, he called me and said, hey, was any of those videos about me? So my thing is, did you do anything for them to be about you? So we'll see. Right now I'm focusing on the 34 years. So the title, let me get back to the title. I tried to give a heads up because, like I said, we're still connected. We have 4 kids together. We have grandchildren together. And I wanted to give him a heads up that I was doing this. And he says, you know, I just think you're going to be going down a slippery slope. When I asked him what he meant by that, he said, I don't want to comment because I'm on my own journey. So now, if I know a narcissist, if I know him, he's trying to instill fear in me and doubt. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe this might turn out bad for me. But if I learned anything at all from a narcissist, is they project what they feel on you. So him saying, you know, you're going to be going down a slippery slope. My thing is, am I going to be exposed for something I did? Because I was a victim. I think the slippery slope he's worried about is people finding out his behavior. Because like I said, my narcissist is a covert narcissist until you live with him. And then he's very overt. He's the what other one is it? He's quite a few. He carried a lot of the personalities. I didn't bring my notebook this time, so I can't look on the list. But he brought he has a lot of narcissistic qualities. Only one I would say he doesn't fit is the malignant, the violent one. Well, to the point of killing you. He was physical. He fought, but you know, he didn't stand up to men. But he'll fight me in a minute. So when I say that's where that title come from, the slippery slope. All right, the slippery slope. But I remember years back when I told my husband, we were married, and I said, you know what, I want to write a book. I want to write a book about my life, you know, being married. And he didn't care much for that idea. He asked me, you know, well, why would you do that? Marriage is supposed to be sacred. What happens in marriage is supposed to be between, you know, those people. And I said, well, if you treat each other right, it's supposed to be. But I want to write a book. And he says, you know, okay, yeah, I know if you write a book, it'll be people that want to fight me. It'll be a lot of men that want to fight me. I just don't understand why you would do it. So my question was, well, why would men want to fight you? What did you do for somebody to want to fight you? And he didn't answer. He just walked away. So that was kind of an admittance to know that you don't treat your family right. So I'm going to start back with where I left off. We moved with my aunt, and she lived in an older home. It was a old-fashioned home. Even in the 80s, it was a pretty old house. But my aunt opened up her heart and her house to us. And we stayed with my aunt, I don't remember how many months. I remember we moved in an apartment not far from her. but I don't remember how long it was. But she was, I appreciate her. Up to this day, she's still alive. Matter of fact, when I'm done, I'm going to send her these videos. But I thank her with all my heart, because she was one person that looked out for my mother. Although, like I said, I'm not saying any names in the videos, in my videos. But I appreciate what she did for my mom. So, and she had a son, so we lived with them. And if I'm not mistaken, this one particular day, my dad, he came, and I think my sibling and my cousin was outside, because they were like 13 and 10, something like that. So boys, they was always outside. I stayed in most of the time because I wanted to, my mom was, like I said, disabled. She couldn't get up and down the steps real good. So I wanted to make sure if she needed anything, I could get it for her. I would cook. I was cooking from the time I was in the 5th grade because my mother was disabled. She taught me how to cook. I had a sibling that she cleaned. I cooked. Nobody wanted her to cook. Nobody wanted her to cook. So, so I stayed around and made sure I was of service for my mom. And my dad made a few visits over there, you know, being destructive, out on the sidewalk screaming and hollering because he wanted her to come out, and, you know, she's my wife, and, you know, and he brought some coffee mugs. He must have brought them from the house we had left. But he brought some coffee mugs, and he was outside one day and he was screaming and hollering. He was busting the coffee mugs on the sidewalk. And I think my aunt was there that day, and she told him to leave. You better leave. You better get on out of here. And he left. But, you know, he took that as a challenge because he's been a bully so long. And then, like I said, he was a Golden Glove boxer. People was terrified of my dad. So my aunt called me in her room one day, and she said, here, I want to show you this. So she showed me her gun. And she told me, when I'm at work, don't you let your father come over here and do anything to your mother. Don't you let him touch her in any kind of way. Don't you even let him in the house. So I said, okay. She showed me how to use the gun, how to hold the gun to make sure it was loaded. She showed me how to do all that. So I knew. I don't remember how long after that my father came over, because there were some times he came when my aunt was there and he hadn't been drinking, and of course he was trying to charm my mom back, and my mother was like, no, nah. So there was a time when my aunt was at work, and I think my sibling and my cousin was outside somewhere, and my father pulled up, and I could tell our bedroom was in the front of the house, so the front windows in the front, you could look out the windows and you could see whatever car is pulling up in front of your house. You could see who it is, if it's for you, who it's for the neighbor. So me and my mom was up in, I think we were up in the bedroom. We were in the bedroom because we shared a bedroom. And I said, Mom, Daddy's here. And she says, uh-oh. You know, and she said, has he been drinking? He had been drinking. I could tell the way he got out of the car, and, you know, the way he's walking, and he's, you know, moving side to side. So I went into my aunt's room, and I got her gun. And I told my mom, stay upstairs. So I went outside on the porch. Well, no, I didn't go on the porch. I stood in the door. But it was a storm door. So I told my dad, Daddy, you have to leave. And he said that my mother, that's my wife. And if I want to see my wife, and I said, Daddy, you have to leave, or else I'm going to call the police. And he says, well, I'm not scared of no police. That's my wife. Well, my dad was scared of the police because, he used to stay in jail so much when we was younger. We used to say he was home away from home whenever he got arrested because it was so often. So I told my dad, Daddy, you got to go. And he said, well, I just want to talk to your mother. And I said, you're not talking to my mother. She don't feel good. She don't feel like coming downstairs. So you got to leave. And he said, oh, so you going to make me leave? You going to make me leave? And I said, Daddy, so he looked like he was ready to get, so I pulled out the gun. I said, Daddy, you got to go. And he goes, oh, you Mrs. Big Bad now. You going to shoot me, Bet? You going to shoot me? And I told him, no, I'm not going to shoot you. I'm going to blow your head off the same way you tried to do my mother. And when I said that, it looked like he kind of shocked him. And he kind of had this look, yeah, okay. So, he stumbled back out to his car. And I stood there and I watched him because I wanted to make sure he wasn't going to pull nothing out of his car. But my dad, he got in the car and he pulled off real fast. And I didn't go back upstairs right away because I wanted to make sure he wasn't going around the block to come back and, catch us off guard. So he had been gone like 10, 15 minutes. And when I went upstairs, I was in the room with my mom. I told her what happened. And, I think it's kind of scared her a little. Nobody, no parent ever want to see their child have to kill their father or their mother. No child ever wants to do something like that to a parent. So I told my mother that my aunt showed me how to use the gun, so I went downstairs with the gun, and I told her what happened with my dad. And she said, well, I saw him leave. And I said, yeah, he left. And she kind of laughed a little, kind of like she was shocked that somebody made him leave because he never listened to her. She was surprised. And I remember maybe a few days later, after my dad had sobered, he called her and he told her what happened. And she said, yeah, I know. And he said, oh, bet something else. I think she would have shot me. And my mother said, yeah, I think she would have shot you too. And I was glad that happened because I wanted my father to know he was through playing with my mother. And even being 15, I was a kid, but I had to protect my mother. My other siblings would have done the same thing had they been there, but they wasn't there. And then as time went on, she never went back. They lived up until the time she died. They were still married, just separated. And so then after that, my life started. A young guy came down to our house and he had a piece of paper. He had a little letter in his hand. He gave me the letter. He asked me, was I Betty? And I said, yeah. I was kind of puzzled how he even knew my name. Well, come to find out, my youngest sibling went to school and he rode the city bus, and he met a guy around the corner from us that is very familiar with the neighborhood. He knew that my brother had never been, he didn't know him, so he asked him, where do y'all live? And he told him. He knew my cousin, but he didn't know us, so he was asking questions. And I guess he had seen me, I don't know, but he asked my brother about, oh, you got a sister? So I think my brother told him my name. So there was a guy brought down a letter, and there was something about wanting to meet me, but the letter, every word on it was misspelled, so I'm thinking, okay, this guy don't seem all that smart. So I didn't, I'm like, I, I just, no. I was just like, no. So, I asked him, did he write this letter or did somebody else write it? And he said, oh, I wrote it. And I was just kind of puzzled, like, wow, because every word on there almost was misspelled. So, I don't remember what happened from there, but I remember one day, not long after that, I was outside walking. I think I went to the store for my mom. You know, they used to have the little mom and pop shops, you know, variety stores. You could get candy, pops. And my mother used to like strawberry Fagos. She used to like rock and rye Fago. So we were out one day walking. We went to the store, and my aunt was there that day. It was a weekend. And as we were walking, there was some young guys at a church. They were playing football, you know, in the yard of the church. And one of them, I think I heard one say, how you doing? I didn't say anything. But then one of them called my brother's name and threw him the football, and then he threw it back. And my brother told me, oh, that's the one that liked you. You know him. And I said, no, I don't know him. See, because the school I went to was way on the other side of town. We were all in an altogether different district area. So I said, I don't know him. I don't know any of them. And he said, well, no, he said he know you. And I'm like, no. Does he go to Arlington? And he said, no. No, he don't know me. So after that, I remember somebody would always call the house and ask for my brother. But like I said, my brother was 13. Him and my little cousin was always into something. So my brother was, you know, is usually like, oh, he can't talk on the phone because he's on punishment. So I think eventually he may have said something to me on the phone. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I can't even remember really how we even eventually met. I don't want to ask him though, because he'll think I'm trying to refresh the memory, you know. So I don't want to ask, but some kind of way or another, we ended up meeting, and he was very nice. He seemed kind-hearted, seemed very caring. We had a lot in common. We were both very poor. One thing we didn't have in common is his mom died at birth with his younger brother. And both my parents was alive, but my father I was surprised because he lived with his father. And I was thinking, you live with your father? Because that was just kind of shocking that he lived with his father, because my father, you know, you weren't living with my father. My father didn't care enough about nobody to do nothing like that. So I was kind of shocked about that. So as time went on, we got to know each other, and I think after the first few days, he asked me, "Hey, you wanna be a couple?" And I remember saying, "No, nope, I don't want to be no couple." So we got to know each other, got to be friends, and then maybe like 3 or 4 months later, we officially started going together. So you call it. So he was just really nice, really sweet guy. Everybody in the neighborhood, I thought, really liked him. When my mother met him, she really liked him. But let me tell you what I missed. Because before we got married, I think we dated maybe a little over 2 years. Yeah, a little over 2 years. I missed the signs. You know, I miss the signs that you see that people do. When you are dating, you're young, listen to the person, the things they say. Listen to the things that grasp their attention. Look at their actions, the way they do it. Never forget what they tell you. Because when you listen and you pick up on things, then you understand what I mean by look at the signs. I missed 1,000,001 signs. So, one thing I remember is I thought we were really close, but he signed up to go to the military and didn't tell me. I was at his house one day and I just happened to see a Armed Forces folder, and when I opened it up, and he didn't stop me from opening it up, I saw he was enlisted to go into the military, and he didn't tell me, and I was pissed off. But he was saying he wanted to do it because 18, can't find a decent job. He wanted to go into the military, and he said this way maybe we can get married. I still didn't want him to go, but he went to the military. And from there, our lives, we got married. But some of the things I missed before we got married is sometimes they would have family. Oh boy, no, stay away. They would sit. Thank you. They would have like neighborhood parties, and I remember one time, we were dancing, everybody was dancing, and a slow song came on. So I was looking for him. Stop. My dog is out here. I was looking for him, and I couldn't find him. And people started calling his name, and he came out of the closet with a girl at the party. And that was one of the first signs I missed. Another thing, of course, he put, oh, no, we all friends. It's nothing like that. So, I kind of let it go. And then after that, I remember when I would call his house, his sister would always say stuff like, hold on a second, I'll get you. So which one is this? Is this Missy or is this Patricia or is this? She would name all kind of names. In other words, she was letting me know he talks to a lot of different girls. So, and they would get in arguments about it. What I didn't know is his sister she was a mean, nasty person too, but at the same time, she was telling on him. So, that was another sign I missed as far as their family, the way they are. I missed a lot of signs, man. When he left and went to the service and he came home, when he came home from basic training, we didn't see much of each other because he was running around and, he said he was just trying to see everybody he could because he was only home for 2 weeks. I don't know how true that was because there was, after he left, I found out a girl's name came up, and of course, he could explain that away, and I was young, stupid. I believed him. Oh, he didn't mean that. He didn't mean that. I was stupid. So, the next time he came home, we got married. And that was a major sign that I missed. Because when he came home, he had on a necklace, and it had a girl's name on it. And I asked him, who is this? And when I tell you this man was quick, he said, oh, his roommate, he was in the military, shared a room with someone. He said he made a mistake and grabbed his friend's necklace and put it on. Oh man, I gotta call and tell him I got his necklace. I didn't mean to take his necklace. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this. And stupid me, I believed it, didn't question it. Couldn't have found out nothing anyway, but didn't even question it. Oh, okay, he just picked up a necklace in the dark. Got the wrong necklace. Well, aw, how stupid, how stupid could I have been? But, so, we ended up getting married while he was home. And, I went to Germany, like I think we got married in June. I think I went to Germany like maybe September, October. But it was so odd because on the way over there, I met a guy on the plane, and it just so happened the guy was stationed where my husband was stationed. So we got to talking, you know, and it just so happened he was even in the same unit. And when I told him who I was, he was shocked. He was like, really? He's like, yeah, he told us he didn't get married. Another flag. Another flag. Of course, he explained that one away too. When I asked him, he goes, oh, that's because I don't tell them my business. Okay. Once again, I bought it. I bought it. So, my advice to anybody, whether you are young, whether you're old, pay attention to the things people tell you. Because a narcissist is going to be a narcissist through and through, no matter what age they are. And you don't grow out of being a narcissist. If you are a narcissist, you are a narcissist. So I'm going to end here. Thank you for joining me again today. I will be continuing this because I'm going to continue this all the way up until all of this is out of my system and I can move on with my life. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks. Click, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.